So, welcome again, you brave and wonderful explorers of the unknown. Welcome to part 2 of Mark's Keys to Ascension. Part 1 was activating the keys, and part 2, our 8-week course, is physical integration. And what Mark said last week, he ended our course by saying, because what are these keys and why do we have to integrate them? He said, you're opening your greater mind, and your greater mind is changing your physical brain to reconnect and recalibrate the mastery of the star seeds you are. He said, as we find these keys, we'll hold them up and wonder and incorporate them into our lives. But they don't open doors that were here before. What we're activating, what we're integrating is new portals, new doors. So we're moving from our human spiritual childhood to our maturity. So just to look at what is ascension, we use that word a lot. And Mark was explaining to me this morning that it's the overlapping of two worlds or two ages. And so again, this is a Vesica Pisces, and this is the new world that's more heavenly. This is the old one that's gotten heavier and heavier. And in that area of overlap is where we find ourselves now. So we're still clouded in the darkness of materiality, but we're grounded there. And this higher consciousness, what Mark calls super consciousness space, is coming in. So where we are in this overlap of ages or overlap of timelines, it's very messy. But this is the opportunity where we ground those heavenly energies into matter through us. So we are the portals of higher consciousness into matter. And yes, a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt, a lot of things swirling around. So that's why this course is so important. And if you're new to this course, which is physical integration, I really strongly suggest that in tandem with this, you go back and purchase the first course, which is activating the keys that we just finished 2 weeks ago, because that way you're going to know a little bit more what you're integrating in this physical integration. Well, I say that, but of course we don't know what we're integrating. We actually have no idea, do we? So what Mark is telling me is this course is going to increase our presence. And that doesn't just mean our physical presence, but our presence as a multidimensional being, because it needs to be anchored here in time-space to include all the physical dimensions as well as all the non-physical dimensions. So as always, we explore new grounds, and Mark takes us to places that I've never felt, none of us have felt. He gives us wisdom that is profound, but mostly it's about the experiences or not, because I say experiences, but many of you may have no experiences. You just zone out. That itself is a good indicator that you're getting something, because you don't normally fall asleep for 45 minutes in front of your computer in middle of the day or the early evening. So welcome all of you, no matter how you take this in. Looking again at the last course, Mark said the very last class, Mark reminded us that we're lightning bolts. And he talked about the friction, right now we're in a period of friction and flow. And he said the friction is what causes change and growth. And so we're in a time of mastering flow and friction. He also said we're really opening up to super consciousness with our individuality as its foundation, which might be my two Vesica Pisces. This is our individual physical foundation, and you might call this sphere super consciousness. And I'm very excited that June 28th and 29th, I mentioned before that we're having a 2-day Mark intensive in the Netherlands, in Amersfoort, just an hour from Amsterdam. And this last week, Mark told me what it's going to be about. It's going to be about super consciousness. I'll channel more later and write it all up, but hot off the press, super consciousness. And I had forgotten that he had mentioned super consciousness in our last class. He said that the essence of presence that we're cultivating is no longer stuck in time-space. And imagine the miracles and the wellness and the perspective we can have when we're no longer just stuck in time-space. He says this course, physicalization, the physical integration, is helping our body and our circuitry and our consciousness, not our consciousness that we don't really understand, to be integrated in this vast expansion that's happening now. So, welcome to Keys of Ascension, and welcome to part 2, the physical integration. Oh, and speaking of physical integration, we are having our second of our trilogy activations tomorrow on Thursday, of our soul alignment trilogy. The other one was during the Great Planetary Alignment, and that was called, I'll have to look, Gifts from the Stars. So 21 days will be Thursday, which will be the equinox. This is more than just the beginning of spring or fall, wherever you are. It's a time of where there's a portal of balance. So Mark's going to do a trilogy activation. Of course, you can listen to it later this Thursday at the same time we do the Mark class. So I hope you're part of that. The first one blew my head open, actually. And I don't think I've been the same since, which is a good thing. All right. So welcome. Thank you. And have a sip of water and see what Mark has to say, or show us, or take us to in our journey of integrating these keys to ascension. Welcome, this is Mark. Welcome to, we will call this a quantum leap in the integration of your higher consciousness, your higher spirituality into your body, but into your life, into your decision making. We expect this course to help clarify you spiritually, but clarify you in your daily living. Sometimes the the yearning to be an explorer and bring in these spiritual dimensions, which is so important, leaves our body and our life restless or unsettled because we see the scope of the higher world, yet in this density, we just don't see it at all. This course in physically integrating the keys should make your mental understanding of this life, your decision-making in this life more clear, because you're bringing the clarification of higher consciousness embodied. And embodied also includes embrained, put in your mind, putting your mind at ease. So we don't often talk about your thinking mind, but that is where we will start. And remember that in this first class, we put so many more energies than we enunciate. We cascade energies for all of these courses into your presence, even without naming them. So this first class, yes, there'll be clarification of the mind, but there may be also a sense of receiving that which is just beyond the horizon of you noticing or certainly understanding. Thank you for being explorers. Explorers are more than just voyeurs. You are activators. And we continue the activation of these codes physically, integrating into your body and your life. We ask you to start in the mudra of having your hands open, resting them on your lap. Open, that opens your chest and opens your heart. Take a moment to let that position open you at many levels. You might imagine the time-lapse photography of a beautiful blossom opening up. Opening to the sun of the highest dimensions. In a slow and steady blossoming. As you open, there's no idea what you're opening to, but there's an increasing softness about your being now. Like all the energy in the warm sunlight that meets the opening bud in its blossom, You are bathed in a knowingness, a warm and bright knowingness that stimulates growth. As the sun does on the bud. Imagine the frequencies and vibrations above frequencies stimulating your physical body to grow. Everything slow, soft, warm. Nothing is uncomfortable, nothing is jarring. Feel an expansion that has no bounds and no understanding in it. Just the sense of expansion. Very present. Your bud that's opening is very rooted at the ground. We'll keep for now with the analogy of the bud blossoming with the warmth of the spiritual sun. And feel now that there's that activation in your body, that growth stimulation, and there is a rootedness that goes through all of physicality. So it's not just your roots in your body, in your home, at your desk. It's where somehow you open up and those roots become rooted in all physicality. It was easy to have your roots go through all of the earth, expand and go through that, be rooted in space, Be rooted in the moon and the inner planets. This is a big job. We'll give you a few minutes. Remember your rooting, anchoring, not disappearing and expanding. As you allow this, you may feel tingles, hot flashes, a different taste in your mouth. Or you may just feel a shift where you and your body aren't together in the same way. So most of the time, we've been working with that higher consciousness, the consciousness that's, to use linear terms, descending. And you're very skilled at that. But in this next part of this meditation, this exercise, be all of matter. Expand your consciousness to be very material. And again, not just limited to earth matter. One of the keys that God opened is the key of materiality, where your conscious awareness is fine-tuned to the material world. You are conduits of change. You are the portals of the inspiriting into the density that you found yourself in earth. Become material in a way you've never felt before. It's not just grounded, it's being matter. You might be feeling shifts in your body that are sub-physical, which means you don't really feel them, but there's a knowing of the feeling, a knowing of the shift. Relax, don't get mental. When you're not trying is when you'll feel the shifts. One pointer is that you may notice that you are aware of your body much beyond the confines of your skin, that you have body awareness that's not just in your body. It's hard to explain, and you'll get better at that, because this body awareness that's not stuck in your body is really the light body. And as we move through this series, there may be some work where you can send your light body to different places throughout the earth. Be still, be with whatever is. This is very subtle. You are being exposed to the possibilities, the energies, the integrations that will take place in this entire course. So nothing appears to be happening, but there are beautiful downloads that are moving into, we'll call it the aura space of your physicality. So usually when we remind you to be grounded, you find a space and you condense into that space. So we invite you to be grounded again through all of earth, all of matter. It's an odd concept. Your presence is becoming grounded in matter, not just in your body, which gives you so many more possibilities, so much more power in healing and manifestation. So you might be feeling this subatomic buzz as well as stillness. So it doesn't seem that those both go together, but you're expanded enough, you may be feeling things that seem contrary to each other. It's actually a very good indicator of what you've let go of. So with each breath, get more comfortable that you have awareness of all physicality. And there's not so much this is me and this is not me. Because you have this higher consciousness, everything you are conscious of is you. We're getting you out of the cage of your individuality and your individual point of view. Please don't try to do anything. Rest in this space and be aware. Any awareness is helpful. Move through your body now, relaxing things rebalancing, come back to your physical body. The greater consciousness is open. So in this first course, this first class, you are integrating the beingness of vast spiritual possibilities into your presence and into your body. However, another way to look at it is you're staying cohesive and you are expanding to be conscious of all physicality. You can imagine that manifesting is very difficult if you are this and you're trying to pull other things into your physical reality. What will begin to happen now is that your sense of beingness incorporates physical materiality, not just you. There's a magic door that opened that you've had the key to, and now we're integrating how it feels to be in a body with consciousness that enfolds matter. Then it's just a matter of reorganizing your consciousness to bring the bits and pieces of materiality that you want to manifest. You are becoming that greater system. Rather than pulling something to you, you are mingling with, you are identifying with that which you want to have happen. And it is already you. This is the space from which great healers and miracle workers work from. This consolidated physical space of spirit and matter. We're just going to hold the space. We trust you to play and explore. Learn what you need to learn. Feeling yourself as one physically with the cosmos. Imagine that there is just one physical particle, that the Big Bang isn't so much an event as an existence. And that one physical particle has infinite number of prisms through which that particle is projected. But the particle of oneness is still the particle. Everything else is just a choice of prisms or lenses through which that particle projects. And somehow you have opened up to knowing that singularity and to also being through the prisms or the lenses and seeing yourself as all of that refracted light. Feeling both the singularity and the infinite multiplicity. So we're calling this course integrating the keys, physical integration. Feel that somehow you have integrated. You have made a shift in physicality to hold those keys and codes of ascension that were activated and are being activated. You can feel a sense of profound physicality, expanded, yet rooted. Now back to Jeanette's original explanation of the Vesica Pisces, the two overlapping circles, the higher one, consciousness, the lower one, matter, and feel that when you are in that overlapping section, you are one with both matter and spirit, but you also have access to all spirit, and you have access to all matter. Stop doing anything. Be where you are fully. Feel how non-ordinary your presence is. Allow yourself to be integrated. That your body knows more than your mind can comprehend. Good. Your body knows more than your mind can comprehend. This physical knowing is why it works to use a pendulum or do muscle testing. You are coming back into integration with body wisdom. This integration will begin to help you with physical manifestation as your sense of expanded consciousness, your sense of self moves out of, I want this, because that is a declaration that you are not of the thing that you want. This melts those boundaries and you become all things and all possibilities. We're leaving a lot of empty space because we're waiting for the bulk of you to relax in this state, whatever it is, and to quit trying. And if you have to take a nap, that's all right. Because then we'll feel that it has smoothed open. It's almost there, but not quite. Be in peace. As you are grounded in all matter, not just earth, but you are consciousness of matter itself. Now we ask you again to be in peace. As all that is, be in peace. Your desires and your wanting is so sharp that it does make it difficult to surrender into this expansive consciousness of spirit and matter. Surrender into the knowing it's already done. You just haven't pulled open the curtain yet. And we're not going to pull it open yet. Just surrender. Time, space, spirit, all together. All right. Now relax into your body. Notice if it's glowing a little differently than normal. If your body feels like you, but it's different by 10 degrees. Often we have you recenter by coming back into your heart, but you notice that that heart energy is now cosmic. And so there's no coming back. There's just being aware of your body, but you don't come back. You stay infinite with awareness of your body. You're doing it better than you think. All right. Now notice how you feel, how you are, who you are. Perhaps take a few notes. Relax. You survived. These first courses have so much complexity in them. So you may feel agitated or not centered at all. That's perfectly fine. Everything is available. All the doors are open and swinging. So it's always a massive class with very little understanding. So relax your body. Let it feel like your body again. But notice you are so much more, and you will always be that. All right. Notice how you feel. Move your body. How does your head feel? What space are you in? Are you still expanded yet present? Do you feel as if there's a zillion electrical currents in your body? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel light? Trust your body knowing more than what your mind comprehends. I'm going to stay here a couple more minutes while everyone calms up rather than calms down. Palms open. Welcome to this new sense of you. Thank you. This is Mark. All right, I think. So Mark wants to spend about 10 minutes hearing some of your experiences. Then we'll have a 10-minute break. Then he wants to come back and have those of you who are always great at asking questions that help us understand this entire next course. So then we'll take your questions. Again, they're not personal. They're those questions that help us understand where we're going and where we are. So I'll open this up so that you all can speak. So if you'd like to share a little bit about your experience, and especially not just because it's your experience, but as it relates to how Mark was trying to explain we were going. So you might have words that help somebody else understand that particular aspect. And if this is your first class, welcome. Regina.
Hi. I'm so happy with what we did because this last week I realized I was not grounded at all. And I didn't seem to be able to get grounded. I usually use the holographic grounding, and that works well for me. It didn't work. So this was like, my question. And what I realized during Mark's talk was that although mentally I know I am not this body, part of me was very identified with it, with this particular body. And the moment I realized it, it was gone. And I also saw that with this being identified with this particular body makes it impossible to connect with all materiality. So it was a very strange feeling. And I feel very different now.
You just summarized in that one sentence what happened.
Yeah, so I'm really curious how we will go from here. And it's not like I feel really grounded now, but I'm not ungrounded either. Not anymore.
Yes.
So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you describe it so well. We're grounded in a different state than we've ever grounded before. And matter is different. We're kind of grounding into the spiritual, the non-material part of matter. And then we're all of matter. But you all imagine how this is going to help us in healing and manifesting and making changes in the world, because we're one with that we want to bring in or we want to change. All right, who else? An experience? Susan, you're muted. You're still muted. Susan, you're still muted. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Okay, good. I want to say, surprisingly for me, this one was easy. Normally, at the end of the class, I'm like, well, I didn't get that one, I didn't get this one. But if you remember in the last class, you said, choose whether we go up or we go down first and then do the other direction as well. I always go down first. I'm always connected to earth. And for some reason, when you said expand, I was suddenly aware of all matter. And it was just so fun because I could feel like the personalities of the different planets. I could feel the spin of the galaxies. I could expand out, and I could even feel that within space, that there was matter within space, within the in between planets part. And it's not even so, it's like we're connecting to consciousness, but also to not consciousness, matter. We're connecting to the consciousness of matter. So it's not just the physicality of it, but it's the feeling of it. And I just felt the big I am, and it was just really cool. So I enjoyed that. And I now you want to wait until later for questions, right? Because I have a good question for you. All right, then I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So well described. Thank you. I just hope you feel different, even though you can't say what's different, because I can't, but I feel shifted. Let's hear from one or two more, and then we'll take our break, and you can scribble your wonderful questions. Donna Gita and then Daphne.
Thank you so much for this. For me, once again, it has materialized as sound. I can only call it solidified sound. I felt like all my nadis, or the energy system, started scintillating and chiming like music. And then it went into the earth, similar to mycelium. And then it kind of became one, but then the solidified sound aspect, I don't know what it is, but it felt really solid, but still vibrating, expanded. And similar to Susan, it was not only on earth, but mainly on earth for me. It was like welcoming me on earth more than before.
Your description is helpful. I could see I put two of your words together, the mycelium and the vibrating, but the mycelium was throughout the cosmos, not just in the earth, and vibrated, but a oneness. Thank you. Somehow I get it.
And also when you say that the two signs, the two circles connect, suddenly I saw the Pisces, like Christ, like the first Christians used the Pisces, and I was like, oh wow, that's why they used it. It was also quite an interesting experience. So thank you so much.
Jessica Pisces, the fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Daphne.
Yeah, some light. Okay.
Better.
Yeah, this was a beautiful, wonderful meditation, and it was a grounding. I always had difficulty with grounding, but now it was grounding not only in the physicality of the planet, but in all the planets. And everything, then the cupboard, and then the cushion I was sitting on, and it expanded on everything. And it was a step further than the meditation I've been doing for years and years, to dive deeper into the Gayatri mantra. The first is Bhur, that means everything that is of earth. And so every time I really try to focus and to try to find the essence of it. And it seemed that it opened a new layer of it now in this physicality. And diving into physicality, I was also coming into my own physicality, into my eyes, and And then really I start disappearing. My eyes started disappearing, and everything started like melting away, like integrating in the rest of Earth. It was a very peculiar sensation. And but on the other hand, it felt really present and expanding and very powerful. And very often I just fall away. But yeah, I kept very much well, powerfully connected. And so that was very beautiful. Thank you.
I mean, so many things that you said resonate. I have a feeling that our physicality is so much different than we ever thought, and that it's going to be easier to manifest and to heal because we were trying to bring things to us, which meant we already lacked them. And now we are one with the matter of everything. I think this is going to have astonishing results. And we're just planting the seeds. You know, maybe nothing comes up in the next 2 weeks or 2 years or 2 decades, but we are really opening human consciousness into that miraculous, masterful way of being, where we put out our hands and whatever we need is there. Thank you.
There's one thing when it sort of confused me, because he was speaking about becoming matter, and then also about your light body going out and be anywhere else. But maybe Mark,
Ask that question in the next half.
Yes, thank you.
Because that's a great question.
Thank you.
All right, you all, let's take a 9-minute break. It's almost a quarter after, till 25 after the hour, and then we'll have questions. Again, make them succinct so we can ask Mark the things that'll help us understand this whole series. All right, see you in 11 minutes. Before I take your marvelous questions, I wanted to reread out loud what Mark said about this class or this course. He says, it is your seeking that activates what's next in the realms of possibilities. The physicalizing of these keys into your body wakes you up to a paradigm of possibilities that you couldn't imagine or embody before. Mark guides you through experiences that enlarge your perspective and integrate unknown potentials into your life. There is an ascension shift where the rules of linearity no longer limit you, and you have access to the magic of the higher worlds. You know, I've often heard of faith healers that they'll put their hands on you and people get up and walk, and that's true. You know, that really does happen. So can we tap into whatever reality they're tapped into that allows for immediate miraculous changes in matter? During my break, I went and because of what we were saying about rooted and the tree, I went and got this that's on my wall. The tree of life from Bali. It's right in the middle of my house, and it's always a reminder of where we are. And the important part is all the leaves are hearts. All right. So come on with your wonderful questions for Mark. Oh, all right. Go for it. Again, you're muted. Good.
Yes, not anymore. Okay, just want to make sure it was me you were talking to. With what you just said about becoming healers and having access to that kind of energy and ability, could Mark please expand on that?
Oh, good question.
Thank you.
What you call the miraculous from your 3D world is just the way it is from the higher dimensions. but you all have been so stuck in the 3D, which was essential to get higher consciousness into matter. It had to be stuck in it. It had to fully be subsumed into matter. You've had that. Those were the ages that have passed. Now, the age that you move into is where you can wake up again, being very material, and have the scope of highest consciousness. And it's with that shift in, we'll say, viewpoint or perspective, but it's a shift in beingness, who you are, that changes what looks like a manifesting miracle into that's just the way it is. This world is at the crux, and paradigm shift is too small a word, a reality shift, a consciousness shift, where matter and spirit are re-involved. Spirit as awareness, not spirit as a religious belief. As you expand the scope of awareness, and let's dissect awareness for a moment. There's awareness you have when you look through a telescope and you look at Venus. You are on Earth, but you have a greater awareness of Venus. The awareness that you are opening up is you are on Earth and you are Venus. That awareness, what seems like it's just a different perspective, is a different beingness. It's not just an awareness. Your being is on Earth. Your being is Venus. When you are Venus, there is no separation. All the things that you've thought of as amazing miracles or amazing degradation or catastrophes begins to be different. You are opening and integrating vast abilities, possibilities, and potentials into matter. The companionship, the support, the friends, the help is so immense because you have no longer separated yourselves from beings of high consciousness, and you begin to remember yourselves as beings of high consciousness who have forgotten. Humanity is made up of many star seeds and beings of many different levels of capacity. Much of humanity, through DNA manipulation, has had its doorways and its keys to ascension put way off to the side, so that the human had no idea there were other doorways and stopped even looking for keys. But as you who are explorers, you who are creators of a world you can't even comprehend, you begin to open doors that weren't even sought after, embody the keys that were never embodied before, and hasten the spiritual the manifestation of a spiritual reality on earth. Not everyone holds the essence that you hold and has the ability nor the desire to do what you are doing. You are each unique, and your uniqueness opens millions of doors behind you of other, not just human beings alive now, but human beings who have ever lived, who resonate to your field. Begin to receive the keys as well. Bringing into matter in miraculous ways is certainly, you are certainly on the threshold of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, you all, I'm just Mark's very clumsy narrator. So when people ask these questions, know that you are also getting the answers from Mark directly. The answers don't need to come through my head and my mouth and my words into your head and into your brain. That what Mark is channeling to me, you're all in that field. You're getting it imprinted in you, these answers, in your own way. So you don't have to understand my words. My words are just clumsy pointers of what in the heck he's trying to say. All right, next. This is so fun. I always love this class. All right, go ahead, Daphne. Go. We gotcha. Oh, you're muted.
I hope my question is clear, because Mark was talking about physicality, but then there was a sentence about light body and light body going out into the world. Maybe it's clear to answer this, Mark.
All right, I think he understands. I understand the question. Okay. And go, yeah, turn off your video. Thanks. Your light body is the body that understands the space you are in, you are moving into the most. Your light body is both physical and spirit. So it's as if you're becoming your light body interacts with all other light bodies, and your light body isn't so succinct or distinct from everything else, that it's that space of your light body, which is consciousness and spirit and light, that actually expands to be integrated with all else in those spaces you were holding. And there comes a moment where you realize, oh, it's not my light body anymore. It is light and body together, light and all matter together. So we use the word light body, which is your perceptual limitation, but a doorway to this vast space where everything's light body is interconnected, and then there is no differentiation, which, as you can imagine, takes you beyond space-time. Thank you. That might have been a more complex answer than you were looking for. All right, who's next? Dina.
It seems to me that with this new sense of presence, if we are that, grounding is not necessary at all. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Right. So the question, it seems that grounding isn't necessary at all. We use that is a very helpful perception. We use the word grounding because you understand the sense of presence that comes from grounding. However, grounding usually was limited to through your feet onto the earth. But as you expand that idea of presence connected and expand that into the universal, my presence is connected with the universal, then there's only one small step to, oh, it's not my presence at all. It's universal presence connected to the universal. So the grounding is simply an idea that you understand somewhat, but then when we're in the middle of it, we take you out of the equation and you find that essence is grounded, you're still aware, but you're no longer limited. We may have added just more confusion to your answer, to your question by our answer. Thank you.
No, not at all. It's quite clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron.
Hi. Can Mark talk about what matter is and what relationship matter has to consciousness?
Great question. You might think of the light projection of a movie, that the consciousness is the movie, the film, and matter is the screen. So when consciousness hits the physical world, it shows up as matter. So they are the same thing at different densities. Because they're the same thing as at different densities, once you are able to loosen your perspective, this is me, this is you, this is matter, this is a pen. Once you're able to loosen that perspective, then you can begin to get off the 2D screen and go to the projection, but not just the cause of the projection in the camera room, but you can go to all of beingness, all of creation that's not limited by the screen it hits. So consciousness, matter, same thing, different densities, and they require a different perspective. As you move to consciousness, your perspective goes here rather than here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Lena and then Teresa.
Hey, I've seen a DNA string when Mark was talking, and it was like a link missing, and then it was about the earthing. Was like the string was being built, and then like the earthing was the grounding was like in the DNA and in everything, and was like transported or like teleported to everything else in the universe. Like it was the grounding was everywhere. So has this missing link in the DNA? Can Mark expand on that? What does that mean?
So Lena, I didn't really understand. So are you saying that the missing link you saw was the ability to ground everywhere?
It was like the missing link was like a bridge was connected, and then the earthing came.
Okay, and then you were able to ground everywhere.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, let me look. We'll see what Mark says. So the DNA of Homo sapiens has been spliced together, has been genetically engineered. And we'll say there's not so much a missing piece. So your question is leading to something that's interesting for you to know, is that about half a dozen pieces, little pieces of DNA, were reorganized. And it only took those few half dozen DNA pieces to be reorganized that had humanity's feet in the cement of Earth and unable to easily comprehend the multidimensional nature of all existence. However, even with that manipulation, consciousness has an idea, a template of how it should have been. What you are doing, so we're not really answering your question, we're going into a different area, but what you, in all of your experimentation here, is not necessarily fixing the DNA that's been manipulated. You're finding in matter the DNA that was never manipulated. And in terms of consciousness, you are one with that. So you are moving consciousness to that part of humans' DNA that was never limited. And that opens up the possibilities for humanity to follow your lead, to follow this energetic bridge that you're making, this key door that you're opening, and for more and more people to find that energy field where the DNA had not been manipulated. So you don't have to fix it. You just open up because everything is available. So we totally didn't answer your question, but Johnette is thrilled by what we just said. Thank you.
Yes, you did answer. I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Wow, that was fascinating. Now it's all right. Inger, and then we'll go to Teresa. Sorry. I mean, Bente, I'm reading your thing rather than seeing you, but you're muted.
Yes, of course. I have two questions. And the first one is the word keys. This is keys to attention. Ascension. So can you use other words instead of saying keys? I want to understand more what keys means.
Great question. Okay. So you might imagine that a key is, sometimes a key is a series of numbers on a safe. It's not always a physical key. So these keys that you're opening up are maybe you call them codes or sequences of consciousness, or perhaps even you can see it as different sequences in DNA. They are sequences of consciousness that, like the turning of a knob on a safe, opens particular doors. And the keys aren't what's important, but without the keys, the doors don't open. And they don't have to be felt at all. And they're certainly not mental. They are imprinted in these meditations. They are coming from the cosmos. And because all of you have the intention to grow, to learn, to be what you know's there, your yearning has already created this resonance that said, I am looking for answers. And so as we open the curtain to all the keys, there are codes of consciousness, let's say, that then say, she's been asking for this forever. And those codes of consciousness become a key that reaches each of you. Now, each of you have keys that are uniquely a little bit different than everyone else's. So let's call them codes of consciousness, something that is vibrating, that is still matter, that brings you this gateway that opens up. Hopefully that helped and didn't make it more confusing, and we're ready for your next question.
Thank you. You have several times you have said that the world is in good hands. I wonder if you can comfort us by saying it, by still saying it.
Thank you, Bente. Bente. If you imagine the turbulence when these two worlds come together, they each have their own vibration, they each crash against each other. Although the material world seems to be reshaping in uncomfortable ways before your very eyes, at many levels, not just economic and political, but in terms of earth changes or magnetic field changes. Yet this whole higher dimension requires a disruption so it can get into humanity. So it's in good hands. It doesn't mean you're not going to fall off your bike a few times as we get to this next level of growth. But it's in good hands, meaning it all is holy where it is going. It is all what is envisioned, what is possible. So please help yourselves by identifying with that higher consciousness, because that higher consciousness can then come through you into earth and make the changes softer at least for you, and ultimately perhaps softer for the world. You're in good hands, and this is a rough and rocky time. You haven't lost the way. Humanity isn't careening toward darkness. Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much.
All right, Teresa.
Mark mentioned that the downloads are in our aura. So I just wanted to know if are the downloads the codes, the keys, or is that completely different? And could you expand on that?
So you might say that the downloads are in your aura, which might be similar to the cloud, that there's infinite information in the computer cloud. Yet you only download into your computer this bit, and this bit. So your aura includes the cloud of all of that, but your personal being that you identify with is more like your computer. It can only pull in some bits of the cloud, and it has to organize them in a way that you can interact with them on programs and opening your windows. So your cloud, each of your clouds, is different. It is actually personalized, is actually unique. So let's say, here's an analogy. All of you speak English. So your cloud would have all the data, all the information, all the programs that are written in English. But imagine there's this huge cloud of Chinese programs, Chinese wisdom that can interrelate. So ultimately they are interrelated, but the cloud of a person who's only interacting in their computer with the Chinese language is different than yours. So we would say that the cloud that you holds all that you are interested in, but it's ultimately connected to the great universal cloud. So the keys are, you have all the keys, but some are more accessible than others. Did that help?
Sorry. Yes, that helped. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Mark is good. He always gives me these analogies, but he doesn't really point them out. He just, when he comes to me, he doesn't give me the words. In a moment, he shows me, he doesn't even show me. He gives me the whole answer. And I'm the one who has to struggle to find, all right, how are words? What's a metaphor to explain this answer? So it's how he talks to me is in holographic awareness that's not cognitive. So then in my halting language, I have to make this holographic wisdom into something cognitive and verbal. And but it doesn't matter, because you are getting the download as well. When you ask the question, when you're connected, you're getting all of it. So your understanding isn't dependent upon my translation and my words. You get it in your way. Thank you. I think, unless somebody has a great question, I'm kind of fried. So is there any more questions? Okay, I'm not going to search too long because I am fried. So Thursday, our second key, our second trilogy activation of alignment, soul alignment. And Thursday's activation is on the equinox, but it's much more than balancing light and dark. It might be more of bringing in light and dark, like we were talking about today. I don't know what will happen, but it feels like this equinox is a huge portal. It's where everything's balanced, and that's where there's this space to open out into, or have open up into us. I don't know what the activation will be, but I feel it will be extremely powerful. And now I kind of understand why it's happening, and we've started this Mark class because I understand it a little bit more. The trilogy and next Monday's Mark class, still an hour different for those of you in Europe. So we will see you, hopefully most of you Thursday, the rest of you next Monday. And if you're new to Mark and you've just watched this for free, thank you. And we enjoy you to, we invite you to come and be part of whatever this grand experiment of opening consciousness is. So you all, thank you so much for your wisdom, your strength, and the breadth of your consciousness, that we can do this together. Thanks.